Most people believe systems collapse during chaos, during crises, during visible danger, moments when everything is clearly breaking, markets falling, institutions failing, alarms everywhere. Those moments feel dangerous. They look dangerous. So naturally, we pay attention to them. But history suggests something far more unsettling. Systems rarely collapse during chaos. They collapse during calm. During long periods when nothing appears wrong, when everything feels stable, predictable, under control. And that is precisely what makes stability dangerous. Because stability changes behavior. When the environment feels safe, systems begin adapting to that safety. Buffers disappear, precautions weaken, redundancies quietly vanish, margins shrink. At first, nothing looks different. Everything continues working. Performance improves, efficiency increases, confidence grows. But beneath the surface, something else begins to form. Slowly, silently. Fragility. Human perception is built around repetition. When events happen frequently, patterns become visible. We measure probabilities, we build expectations, we prepare. Daily risks become manageable, precisely because they repeat. Driving, operating machinery, managing financial markets. These environments contain risk, but they are familiar risks, and familiarity allows systems to adapt. But the events that shape history rarely behave this way. Financial crashes, technological revolutions, geopolitical shocks, pandemics. These events do not occur every year. Sometimes, not even every generation. They appear suddenly, often after long periods when nothing seemed wrong. Because they are rare, they are often dismissed. Statistical outliers, edge cases, something to acknowledge, but not something to design an entire system around. And that is where fragility begins. When rare events are ignored, systems optimize for the predictable world. A world where disruptions feel unlikely, where stability becomes the baseline assumption, where extreme scenarios seem unrealistic. But the world that shapes history is rarely predictable. It is nonlinear. Small forces can create enormous consequences. Tiny changes can trigger massive cascades. And nonlinear systems rarely fail gradually. They fail through impact. Long periods without failure often feel like proof of strength. If a system works year after year, it appears reliable, stable, resilient. But stability can be misleading. Imagine a bridge that has stood for decades. Cars cross it every day. Thousands of vehicles. Nothing collapses. Nothing breaks. Everything appears fine. At first glance, its survival looks like proof of strength. But survival alone tells us very little, because the bridge may simply not have encountered the conditions that would expose its weakness. A heavier load, a stronger storm, a different stress pattern. Until that moment arrives, fragility remains hidden. The bridge was not necessarily strong, it was simply untested. Fragility often hides behind stability. A fragile system can operate perfectly under normal conditions. It may appear efficient, reliable, even impressive. But its survival depends on something fragile, the environment remaining unchanged. And environments rarely remain unchanged. The moment conditions shift, the illusion disappears. Healthy systems produce signals, small disturbances, minor failures, Fluctuations, noise. These signals are valuable. They reveal weaknesses early. They allow systems to adjust, to correct small errors before they become catastrophic ones. But when systems become too calm, something unusual happens. The signals disappear. Silence begins to look like stability. Yet silence can mean something very different. It can mean the system has stopped correcting itself. Pressure begins to accumulate, quietly, invisibly. Consider tectonic plates beneath the Earth's surface. They move constantly, slowly, almost imperceptibly. For years, nothing happens. Sometimes, for decades, the ground appears stable, but the energy never disappears. It accumulates, until one day it releases suddenly. In an earthquake, these structures behave in similar ways. The absence of noise does not always mean health. Sometimes it means accumulated pressure. Modern systems are designed around efficiency. Remove excess, remove redundancy, remove anything that appears unnecessary. Efficiency improves performance. It reduces costs. It increases speed. And in stable environments, efficiency works extremely well. Systems become lean. Supply chains become faster. Organizations become optimized. But efficiency has a hidden cost. Protection disappears. Many elements that appear wasteful are not waste. They are buffers, backup capacity, redundant systems, spare inventory, alternative suppliers. During calm periods, these features appear inefficient. Managers remove them. Everything becomes faster, cheaper, more streamlined. But during disruption, those same elements become critical. Without buffers, systems have no margin. Without redundancy, failures spread faster. Without slack, recovery becomes difficult. A system designed for perfect efficiency becomes fragile the moment the environment changes. But efficiency is not the only trap. Humans have always tried to predict the future. Forecasts bring structure to uncertainty. They transform the unknown into numbers, models, probabilities. Forecasts can be incredibly useful. They guide planning. They inform decisions. They reduce uncertainty. But forecasts also change behavior. Once a forecast exists, people begin organizing reality around it. Strategies align with projections. Budgets follow expected outcomes. Resources move toward predicted scenarios. Gradually, something disappears. Alternative possibilities. Forecasts narrow perception. They encourage systems to believe the future has already been mapped. In 2008, risk models across the global financial system showed stability. Volatility was low. Defaults were rare. The models said, the environment is safe. The models were wrong, because the events that shape history rarely appear inside models. True disruptions exist outside them, by definition. Stress is often interpreted as damage, something systems should avoid. But in many environments, stress carries information. Without stress, systems cannot discover their limits. Muscles strengthen through resistance. Immune systems improve through exposure. These structures follow similar principles. Moderate shocks reveal weaknesses early. They expose fragile components. They allow systems to adjust, to reinforce weak points before the stakes become catastrophic. But when systems are protected from every disturbance, they lose something essential: adaptation. Small losses can prevent catastrophic ones. When systems experience small disturbances, they release pressure. They adjust gradually. But when every small loss is suppressed, pressure accumulates silently. Forest ecosystems illustrate this clearly. For centuries, small fires were a natural part of forest cycles. They burned dry vegetation, released accumulated fuel, maintained ecological balance. But modern policies attempted to eliminate every small fire. At first, this seemed successful. Forests appeared safer, calmer, more controlled. But over time, something changed. Fuel accumulated. Dry material built up. Eventually, a fire began that could no longer be controlled. What had been prevented in small doses returned in catastrophic form. Not all systems respond to stress in the same way. Some break, some resist and survive, but a small number behave differently. They improve because of stress. They adapt. They reorganize. They evolve. This property is called antifragility. Antifragile systems do not seek chaos, but they are structured so that volatility becomes information, not destruction. They allow small failures. They absorb shocks. They learn from disturbance. In an uncertain world, that property becomes extremely valuable. The most dangerous illusion in these systems is the illusion of safety. Safety feels calm, predictable, ordered, but appearances can be deceptive. Optimization removes buffers. Control suppresses signals. Forecasts narrow perception. Each decision appears rational, logical, efficient. Yet together they create structures that appear stable, while fragility quietly grows beneath the surface. Which leads to a different question. Not whether a system looks stable, but what will happen when the environment changes. Because in these systems, the moment that looks safest may also be the moment of greatest fragility. Fragility rarely announces itself. It hides inside calm, inside systems that appear perfectly under control. And when the shock finally arrives, the system discovers what it truly was: not stable, fragile,